Hi, I'm Janet Khoshaba with Rewind, and this is Back Up to Level Up podcast, hosted live from Las Vegas at ShopTalk 2026. We're here on the floor talking to founders and operators about their stories and how they've had an impact, and we really want to bring those stories to life and share with you how they've backed up to level up. We're at day 3 at ShopTalk here in Vegas, and I'm here with Brian Lange from Future Commerce. Brian, can you please introduce yourself and explain what Future Commerce is?
Thanks, Janet. I'm happy to be here. Future Commerce is a media company focused on what's next in commerce. We do that by exploring the intersection of commerce and culture. In many ways, commerce is culture. It's the starting point by which people actually want to make their purchases. Commerce is inherently identity exchange. And so if we can better understand how people are changing, the way that they think, what they believe, how they relate to one another, how technology is impacting them and changing them, what they enjoy, the art they consume, then we'll better understand what's next in commerce. And that's been a really effective methodology for doing this. Our hit rate on predictions is over 90%. We are constantly thinking out to the future, 12 months, 36, 5 years, 10 years.
Love that.
Yeah.
What's one thing you love working at Future Commerce?
Oh, well, I love ideas. I love thinking about how the world is changing. And I love connecting with other people about that. And so for me, being able to express things in more than just one way, like we're so much more than digital media. We do, a lot of research. We put out reports. We have podcasts and newsletters we put out and write articles. But we also connect with people in person, and we run an incredible event called Visions, which we've held at the MoMA for the last 3 years. We're actually changing venues this year because we've outgrown our stage there. And we also run events at expos like ShopTalk. So we actually had a book release party here. So we launched a new zine called Strata. And Strata is the 10 e-commerce aesthetics from 2025 that we believe are going to impact 2026 and beyond. We've done it in an extremely visual way. It's really beautiful, interesting, and kind of in your face book. It's an immersive read.
That's nice.
It's only 80 pages long. It's easy to get through, but it's a durable piece of content that people can put on their shelves and have for years to come, and sort of help guide them to next stages. It's so much more than just a PDF that you can forget about in your downloads.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Brian, let's back up a little now. What inspired you to start your business or your career in e-com?
Well, I've been in e-com or I should say not e-com, but I've been in commerce my whole career. And so my first job out of college was actually at a payments and data startup in Seattle area. But I've kind of gone through the full game, and I've been around in this industry for a long time. This is actually at my 10th year of ShopTalk, I have been to every single ShopTalk spring ever. And so, I've been around for more than a minute. Starting Future Commerce, though, I was at a digital transformation agency when I met my co-founder at an event kind of like this here in Vegas, no less. And then we have a whole meet cute that I won't go into at one of those events like this. But we built Future Commerce because we looked out at all the conversations that were happening in the industry, and we were like, this just feels like an echo chamber. And the conversations we were having with each other, we weren't having with anybody else. And so it was an opportunity for us to just express what we were feeling and thinking through with each other to more people and try to get them involved in the conversation. And so it started as a podcast, but have grown obviously into so much more than that across all of our different media and ways of expressing these ideas. So yeah.
That's fantastic. If you could think back, was there an aha moment? Was there a specific moment or a decision or channel that made an impact or a difference in your journey to create Future Commerce?
Yeah, well, the podcast obviously like had more traction than we even realized would have when we first started it. So that's when, like, after we built the podcast for a while, we realized that we had a real opportunity to build something that was beyond just a podcast, and we also had the sort of epiphany that commerce is culture. And I think having that like sort of realization allowed us to think bigger, and we did a full rebrand. We've like reset expectations about who we were. We launched a whole bunch of our new channels, started writing, we started doing research, we started doing events, and like that allowed us to connect with people and with more than just their ears, but with their full senses. And I think it's really important. People learn with so much more than just their eyes or with their ears. They learn with their emotions, they learn by touch, they learn by smell. And so incorporating like ways of engaging that were beyond just digital channels, which are just extensions of the senses, right? Like digital is an extension of typically the eye, like reading something on the screen is an extension of your eye. Listening to a podcast is an extension of the ear.
Exactly.
But it can kind of mess with your sense of what reality is. And so I think it's really important to get into more of those senses, explore more mediums, and do things in person. And it changes how people view what you're saying.
For sure. Has more of an impact. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, Brian, let's switch gears and talk about the level up moment. So we want to hear something to inspire our audience who are either trying to get into the business similar to yours and take something away from what you've learned in your journey. So if there's one lesson you'd give someone starting today, what would it be?
Well, I mean, I already said commerce is culture, so I think that's a huge takeaway. But I'll say this as well. I'm going to quote my favorite media theorist, the greatest media theorist of all time, Marshall McLuhan, who said, "The media is the message. The media is the message." Yeah. And I think that the medium is the message means that brands and technology companies and retailers and probably every company in the world right now needs to think about how to pull media closer and in-house. Because right now in the world where AI is taking over and like it's consuming things that have authority and it's giving them weight, the best possible way to sort of have a voice is to bring that communication in-house. Communication is not just data transfer; it's the impact it has on the end consumer. And so, I think that brand publishing is the way that people are going to be able to start to, our businesses are going to have a better opportunity to have authority and impact in consumers' lives or whoever they're trying to impact.
Absolutely, it's like having more control over that, right?
That's right, and especially in the age of LLMs. So that's what I would say the takeaway is right now. It started with advertising. In fact, advertising, when you look back and it was first introduced, was actually considered a form of like public service. Like it was actually the government often would give money to people to advertise because they considered it information that was necessary for people to know. So we went from advertising, then we found out about PR, and like people were like, okay, we got to get our messages embedded and get people to talk about us. But I think the next step is brand publishing, and that's really exciting.
That's awesome. So Brian, before we close, where can people connect with you and your brand, and what's coming next for Future Commerce?
Well, we did just launch a book called Strata, so that's really exciting. Our booth here, we actually had the book was just released and available for purchase or pre-order, and we had a live muralist here on site that was for the whole time, like painting from inspiration of Strata. And then we also had a party 2 nights ago at Skyfall Lounge, up in the stratosphere, if you will. We had just an unbelievable time up there. Actually, Snoop Dogg may or may not have made an appearance. Let's look into that. There's a lot of buzz in the show about that, actually. But if you're going to go check out anything, go to futurecommerce.com and subscribe to our newsletter. and also go add us to your favorite podcast player, with Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever. And pay attention because we do have a lot of things coming. We'll be at the Lead coming up here in May. We run a lot of executive dinners, what we call salons, and we also have our own event called Visions that I already mentioned coming up in November. So there's a lot ahead, and there may or may not be another book on the way as well later this year.
Maybe
so
another appearance by Snoop Dogg. You never know.
you never know, or maybe some other celebrity.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for being on our podcast.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed listening to your journey, and I'm super excited to see what's next for Future Commerce.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you.